walking out of any small town or any place in New York State in around 1905. You would rarely be outside of the hearing range of the call of a bluebird. And I grew up in the 60s, and you just didn't see them anywhere. We were the cause of their problems disappearing. So it just seems reasonable that if we cause those problems, or any problem in the environment, we should figure out a solution. I was interested in birds as a kid, and I used to keep a life list. And I have a coloring book from the early 60s where I kept my initial life list in the back of the book. And my first bluebird sighting was in, I think, 1964 in Seymour, Connecticut. We were visiting my parents. I was familiar with the fact that they weren't in good shape. But at that point, really, people weren't really paying much attention to them. They hadn't gotten the high profile that they did by the mid-70s. In this area, I rarely see a bluebird in a natural cavity. Most of the natural cavities that are out there probably could also fit a starling, and if a starling can fit, they're going to have it. As long as there's a lot of house sparrows and a lot of starlings, you're going to need the nest boxes. If I put out one box, I may get bluebirds here first, or I may not. Having the two boxes, if the swallows get here first, there's still an opportunity for the bluebirds. Swallow chicks, a little older than the last group. Three chicks. Doesn't look like it's quite as many feathers in this box. This is an environment with a very high density of raccoons. And I lost in 1 week when I first started, I believe it was 21 nests on one trail were raided by raccoons in a week. I kept a captive bred raccoon in my chicken house, put 2 different nest boxes out with food in them and see what could it do and what couldn't it do. What could it climb, what couldn't it climb. Okay, next boxes are up on the hill. If you had a rigid PVC pipe, they could climb up the rigid PVC pipe. A common way to mount boxes now is using electrical conduit over a piece of rebar. Pound the rebar in the ground, drop 1/2-inch electrical conduit over it with a pipe clamp at the bottom. Baby swallows here. The raccoons would hold on with their back feet to the back of the box, hang over the front, reach in to try to grab the chick or the female or the eggs. So now most of the boxes that I build, traditional type boxes, I'll have about a 5-inch overhang. So the 5-inch overhang will keep most of the raccoons out. See them in there. Location's really critical. You need to have places where there's short or sparse vegetation, because the bluebird's going to sit up on a tree, on a branch, on a power line somewhere above the ground. It's going to see a bug on the ground. It's going to fly down and get it. If the grass is tall, they won't go there. Here we would say never put a nest box on a wooden post, because we would call that a raccoon feeder, and we have very high raccoon densities. It wouldn't work. Different regions have different problems. Talk to Bob Niebuhr, somebody in Montana, who say, well, I've fledged 10,000 bluebirds last year with all our boxes are mounted on fence posts. Well, it works there. It won't work here. We just have to have different solutions to different problems in different regions of the country. Bluebirds are neat in that it's a species that an individual can make a difference with. You could love bald eagles, but there's nothing you can do about it. If you like bluebirds, if you have the right habitat and this open lawns or pastures would be good habitat. If you put a nest box out and they use that nest box, chicks come out of the nest box, you've made a difference in their population.